Hello, lovers of literature. So we are back once again. And most of you have requested me that, ma'am, please teach us or please do a little more analytical study on Merchant of Venice. I never use the word teach because it sounds so dictatorial, right? Because teaching is not the process that just I say something. It's also your interpretation. So most of you have told me, even in my personal accounts, that I should do Merchant of Venice or I should start with Merchant of Venice. I was just a little anxious as to how my presentation would be for Merchant of Venice. That's why I didn't start. I waited. And of course, you know, my first preference and my love is for poems. So I have done most of the poems that is in your syllabus. And also I plan to do something that is out of syllabus. That gives you a vent, or my students, or just the beginners who shall read poems and get inspired. So that is what I basically started this YouTube channel for. But as you people have requested, and mostly I'm doing something of ICSE, ISC syllabus, so I thought that why not start with Merchant of Venice too in my channel. So let's see how this class goes on, and you please give your feedbacks and your comments that what you think the better analysis of this scene, the first scene of Merchant of Venice that we are going to start with can be, or what are your problems, how do you want my class to be conducted. So this all needs to be there, so that it makes my channel or my journey or our journey more specifically, more enriched. So without further ado, let's get into Merchant of Venice. So Merchant of Venice has been a play that has been written by Shakespeare mostly during the 16th century, and it is said to have been written between 1596 and 1599. So mostly it has been said that it is a comedy, and also has been classified as romantic comedy. But besides that, the play is more remembered for its dramatic scenes, like the character of Shylock, like with such emphatic speeches when he says, "Hath not a Jew's eyes," or Portia's such beautiful imagery on the mercy speech. So besides being a comedy or a romantic comedy, these are the beautiful dialogues, or powerful dialogues that is delivered by both Portia and the Jew, that is Shylock. So the characters that we have are Antonio, who is a prominent merchant of Venice, and he seems to be always in a melancholic mood. We have Bassanio, who is Antonio's bosom friend, and suitor to Portia, who is a rich heiress in Belmont. We have Gracchino, friend of Antonio and Bassanio, who is in love with Jessica, that is a maid to Portia. We have Lorenzo, friend of Antonio and Bassanio, in love with Jessica, later who turns to be husband of Jessica. I think I have said by mistake that Gracchino, the husband of Jessica, he is the husband of Nerissa, and Lorenzo, the husband of Jessica. Extremely sorry. Portia, a rich heiress, later the wife of Bassanio. We have Nerissa, who is Portia's waiting maid. We have Balthazar, Portia's servant. We have Stefano, Portia's servant. We have Shylock, the powerful character, a miserly Jew, moneylender, father of Jessica. We have Jessica, daughter of Shylock, and the wife of Lorenzo. We have Tuba, a Jew, which is a friend of Shylock. We have Lancelot Gobbo, servant of Shylock, and later a servant of Bassanio. We have old Gobbo, the blind father of Lancelot. And we have also Salarino and Salinio, friends of Antonio and Bassanio. We have Salario, a messenger from Venice, friend of Antonio, Bassanio, and others. We have Prince of Morocco, suitor of Portia. We have Prince of Aragon, suitor to Portia. We have Duke of Venice, authority who presides over the case of Shylock's bond. And we have, besides these characters, we have magnificers of Venice, officers of the court of justice, jailers, servant of Portia, and other attendants, and of course Dr. Valerio, who is a cousin of Portia. So this is the more or less the characters of Merchant of Venice. Now, Act 1, Scene 1 is of course an expository scene which introduces us to the main character, that is the Merchant of Venice itself, Antonio, who discusses with his friends Salarino and Salario as to what has made him so sad, or what is the cause of his sadness, the answer of which is not resolved till the end of the play. He says that it is just his nature, or maybe he plays the part of a sad person in the stage of words. Then we have, of course, Bassanio, who comes in and who tells Antonio of his inclination towards Portia to be his suitor. And Portia is a rich heiress at Belmont, whose father had recently died, and of course had played a complete game with her life, as to he who dictates who Portia will choose as a suitor. Then we also have Salarino and Salario, who discusses about sadness, and we come to know how they think of Antonio, how Antonio is thought of by his friends. That is also quite important. Bassanio in this scene introduces to us about his life or nature in general. That how he's a spendthrift and he's not that serious about life. He more or less is more casual in his approach. And here he always spends a lot rather than saving. So after having said that, let us start with the play. Scene 1, Venice, a street. Enter Antonio, Salarino and Salanio. Antonio, in sooth, I know not why am I so sad. So truly he doesn't know why is he so sad. It worries me. You say it worries you? But how I caught it? So he tells that his sadness worries him. He feels tired of being so sad. But he doesn't know how he has caught it, found it, or came by it. He doesn't know how he has approached this sadness, what stuff it's made of. So what is sadness made of? He doesn't know. Whereof it is born, from where his sadness is born, he doesn't know that too. I am to learn. That is, he is completely ignorant of what makes him so sad. Or what is the cause of his sadness? In such a want-wheat sadness makes of me. And sadness makes of me a dim-witted or a slow person. That I have much ado to know myself, that I am in trouble to know myself, as if the sadness engulfs Antonio's real image from himself. He wants to see himself, but he can't, as if it completely shrouds him. So this speech by Antonio creates a mystery about himself. It's mystery that the other characters interpret. What's wrong with him? Some critics also feel that this sadness has much to do of Antonio's proclamation when he will tell that I'm not in love. As if he is very much in love. That's what makes him so sad. The love that is unrequited. We're going to come to it later, so let's read the next lines. Now Salarino tries to figure out why his friend is so sad. And he gives the possible reasons. He says, your mind is tossing on the ocean. There your Argoses with portly sail. So your mind is with your big merchant ships. We know he's a merchant, and of course his ships are at the sea. So he says that I know why are you so sad? Because you must be thinking of your ships. Portly sail, of course, means stately ships, big ships, like signors and rich bargers on the flood, as if those ships are compared to, this is a simile, those ships are compared to signors, that is, gentlemen in Italian language, and rich bargers, these rich citizens on the flood, on the sea. As if they are rich citizens. Why are they rich? Because they're carrying so much of your prospect, of your wealth. So as if they are on the flood, they are on the sea. Or is it, or as it were, the pageants of the sea? Or is it seems as if they're exhibition carts in carnival processions. The ships are so mighty as if it looks they are the exhibition carts in the carnival processions. So such big are the ships. We get a hint of how rich, how wealthy Antonio is. That even makes us quizzical about why is he so sad after being so rich and wealthy. Do overpeer the petty traffickers. That means your ships are so big in size, in magnanimity, that they overpeer, they overshadow the petty traffickers. These are small commercial boats. That courtesy to them do them reverence, as if that blob up and down, as if courtesying to show respect to the Argoses that sail past them, as if these petty ships, petty commercial ships show so much of respect to your bigger ships. As they fly by them with their woven wings, they speed past them. They just overtake them with their woven wings, that is their canvas sails. Your ships are so mighty. Believe me, sir, I had such venture forth. So now Salarino says, believe me, sir, I had such venture forth. The better part, if I had such business, or if I had such ships on the sea, then the better part of my affections would be with my hopes abroad. Then the better part of my concerns or thoughts would have been with my ships, or my hopes would be rested on those ships, because those ships are his prospects. How the ship's fares will say how Antonio will be as a merchant, how rich or how poor he will be. I should be still plucking the grass. Now he talks in hyperbolic figure of speech, and he says, if my ships would be on the ocean, then I should have plucked the grass to know where sits the wind. means I would have just torn a grass and just held the grass to see from where the wind is blowing. Then I would have known the direction of the wind and would have been aware whether my ships are safer or not. Peering in maps for ports, so I would be looking at the maps carefully to know where the ports are, and piers where the wharves are, and the roads. So I would have looked into the map to know if everything was correct with my ships, and every object that might make me fear misfortune to my ventures. And I would have doubted each object that would have caused misfortune to my business prospects. Out of doubt would make me sad. So out of any doubt that I would fear would make me sadder. So your cause of sadness is quite reasonable, because you have such business to undertake. So he tries to reason out with Antonio's sadness. Then Salarino says, my wind cooling my broth. So my wind means breathless. Cooling my broth, that is my soup, broth is soup, would blow me into an egg, would blow me to a shivering state. When I thought what harm a wind to great at sea might do. So even if my breath would do some movement in my bowl of soup, so in the same way I would have tried to think over how a little wind can make such impact on my soup, then of course the fearful winds would have made such an impact to your prospect, that is to your ships. I should not see the sandy hourglass run. That means, what is an hourglass? An instrument that is used for measuring time. So it has two glasses like this, joined together with a tiny hole at the center that allows the sand to pass through in just 1 hour. So I would have not looked into the hourglass. Why? Because I would not, because that hourglass would remind me of time. But I should think of shallows, that is shallow water, and of flats of sandbanks, instead of looking at hourglass. And see my wealthy Andrew docked in sands. So Andrew is the name of his wealthy ship. So he would have been so anxious to see his Andrew, his ship, grounded or stuck in the sand, veiling her high top lower than her ribs. So I would have always been anxious of the greatest ship, Andrew, being docked or stuck in the sand, and her high tops, that is her sails, just falling apart on the ground to kiss her burial. So I would have always been anxious as to my ship, high ship, and its mast just falling apart to the storm. Should I go to the church? So even if I would have gone to church and see the holy edifice of stone, so if I would have seen the holy building of stone and not bethink me straight of dangerous rocks, so I would have always thought of rocks, the dangerous rocks, the rocks that could have brought harm to my ships, which touching but my gentle vessel's side, which would have touched the vessel, the side of my vessel, gentle vessel. Why? Because the vessel that was so much at peace in the sea would scatter all her spices on the stream, And I would have thought of, so these ships were carrying spices, and spices could bring in a lot of money at those period of time. So a dangerous rock could have wrecked the ship and would have just outpoured the spices onto the sea. Enrobe the roaring waters with my silk. So the roaring waters or the gush of the waves would have just covered my silks, the rich wealth that was being carried off. And in a word, but even now worth this and now worth nothing. So just now it is worthy of so much because it is carrying so much of wealth. So spices, silks, wealth. But right now if the ship just wrecks now, it will have nothing. It will just be at risk. So understand what is the cause of your risk. Still, I have the thought to think on this. And shall I lack the thought that such a thing bechanced to make me sad? So if I can picture all the misfortunes that can befall my ships, can I not picture the grief which the concurrence of such a disaster, that is shipwreck, would cause me? So I would have always thought of a shipwreck. But tell not me, I know Antonio is sad to think upon his marchandises. So please, I do not want to know more that what makes you sad. Of course, it is your rich merchandise which makes you so very sad. Believe me, no, I thank my fortune for it. Now, Antonio gives a contrary, a complete different analysis of his sadness. And he tells, believe me, I thank my fortunes, I thank my luck that it is not so. So it is something else. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted. That means my ventures or my business is not just concentrated in one ship. So here bottom trusted means ship. Not to one place, nor is my whole estate upon the fortune of this present year. So my business is not tied to one ship alone, nor is it confined to one place. So I have different ventures. Therefore, my merchandise makes me not sad. So my merchandise does not make me sad. Now, Salarino tries to figure out why then you are in love. So the most possible reason could be that he is in love. Fie. That is, it's all nonsense. Not in love neither. So it's the double negative is trying to be a double assurance. So it's not love neither. Then let us say you're sad because you're not married. So other way, of course you're sad because you're not happy. And it were as easy for you to laugh and leap and say you're married. So as if it was easy for you to say that you are happy just by trying to be happy. You can easily laugh and jump and say you are happy because you are not sad also. Because now, by the two-headed Janus, now this is of course, an allusion. What is an allusion? To bring a reference from any other work of literature, Greek mythology, or anything it can be. So this is of course an allusion. Now he says, now by the two-headed Janus. Who is Janus? Is a Roman god of beginnings and transitions, and also of gates and doors. Janus was always placed above doorways, okay? With one head looking inwards and other looking outwards. Now Janus is referred here, the allusion is brought here to show why is if it is asked, is the allusion apt? So of course it has been brought in to show nature has created people with very different outlooks. Just like Janus, he looks, one head is inwards and another is outwards. Sees two different aspects. So similarly, nature had framed strange fellows in a time. Some that will evermore peep through their eyes, so some that will always laugh so much that the eyes seem to peep through the folds of the eyelids. Like when you laugh too much, as if your eyes just come forth. That kind of laugh. Some that will evermore peep through their eyes and laugh like parrots at a bagpiper. So they would even laugh at the drone of a bagpipe, like a parrot that mindlessly laughs at anything and everything. So some people just laugh without much thinking. And other of such vinegar aspect, and other of such sour expression, that they will not show their teeth in a way of smile, as if they will not even show their teeth as if they're smiling. So they just confine or suppress their laughter. Though Nestor swear the jest be laughable. So Nestor, now another reference, is the oldest and wisest of the Greek heroes who fought in the Trojan War. Swear the jest be laughable. He said that the joke should always be laughed at, that they will not laugh. So Nestor was such a person who never laughed at anything. So he has classified people into three. So one who just laughs because he's a happy-go-lucky kind of a person. Another who mindlessly laughs. Another who suppress their laughter, not showing their teeth. And another who just is a Nestor, like an ancient Greek hero who fought in the Trojan War. They will not laugh even though Nestor swore that the joke was funny. Even though the ancient Greek hero would have laughed and swore that the joke was funny, yet they will not laugh. So they swore as if they will never laugh. So that kind of people. Here comes Bassanio. So another entry of another person. I told you is Bassanio, bosom friend of Antonio. Here comes Bassanio, your most noble kinsman, Gratiano and Lorenzo. Fare ye well. So they just bid goodbye and they just take their stand apart. So it prepares us for something that is private between Antonio and Bassanio. We leave now with better company. So I leave you with your better company. It also proves that Bassanio is more of a better friend than Salarino and Salanio. Your word is very dear in my regards. I take it. So you have your own business to attend to and are taking this opportunity to leave. It's not quite true that I want to leave you people. Maybe you people have business to look after. I take it your own business calls on you and you embrace the occasion to depart. That is why you embrace the occasion to depart. Enter Bassanio, Lorenzo and Gratiano. Salarino, good morrow, my good lords. Good seigneurs both, when shall we laugh? Say when. So he says, good morrow, my good lords. Good seigneurs, that is good gentlemen. When shall we laugh? Say when. Means when shall we meet over and have a hearty conversation? You grow exceedingly strange, must be so? So you are rarely seen these days. We will make our leisures to attend on yours. So we will be with you whenever you are free. It is at your call. Extant Salarino and Salanio. So they just have an exchange of word with Bassanio, Lorenzo and Gratiano. The Salarino and Salanio just leaves. Now Lorenzo says, my lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you. So there is a kind of relationship between Antonio and Bassanio which is too private for other people to interpose on. So that is the hint we get here. But at dinner time, I pray you have in mind where we must meet. So in dinner time, you of course know where we are going to meet. Bassanio, I will not fail you. Grescenio says, you look not well, Signia Antonio. You too have much respect up in the world. So you take life too seriously. They lose it that do buy it with much care. Now, Grescenio is a very rough kind of fellow who lacks polished manners. So he says, people who take life too seriously lose life altogether because they do not live life at all. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. Believe me, you have changed so much. Now, Antonio says the very, very, very impactful lines. I hold the world but as the world, Grescenio. Means I hold the world as I see the world to be. So I think of the world for what it is. And then he says, a stage where every man must play a part. So of course everyone has a part to play. This is of course reference to another Shakespearean poem where he discusses that life has 7 stages, right? And mine is a sad one. So if you say that, mine is a sad role to play. Now Grescenio, after hearing that, said, let me play the fool, then let me play a comic role. With mirth and laughter, let old wrinkles come. So let my wrinkles, let the folds of my skin come when we laugh. And let my liver rather heat with wine. Now, the Elizabethan believe that there are 4 types of characters around us, okay? Or humors, like one is sanguine, which is the blood. Another is phlegmatic, that is the pelvis. Another is choleric, that is yellow bile. And another is melancholic, that is the black bile. And these are partly determined by the digestion of food in the liver. Now he says a liver, he wants to be a liver rather heat with wine. So a liver that is heated with wine, it produces rich blood. And so a sanguine, that means a happy personality. Sanguine is a temperament of a blood. So it will be a rush of blood. And henceforth, it will be, of course, a cheerful personality. Than my heart cool with mortifying groans. Rather, I do not want my heart to be groaned in mortification that is causing death. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? It was though as if sighing and groaning is drained at the heart of blood. Then why should I sit like a grandsire, it's a grandfather, cold and lifeless, cut out of alabaster? What is alabaster? Smooth white stone. So why should I sit like that, like a grandfather? Sleep when he wakes and creep into the jaundice. Sleep when he wakes means, so as if he's sleeping all the time. It's not being able to decipher from his face what kind of thing that is getting into. So as if he's stuck with a disease which turns his skin completely yellow. By being peevish, I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee, and it is my love that speaks. And he says, I tell you all these things because I love you. It's just that my concern for you speaks. There are a sort of men, now he classifies again, whose visages, that is faces, do cream and mantle like a standing pond, whose faces are overcast with a set of expression that is as unchanging as a scum that sits on the surface of a stagnant pond. and do a willful stillness entertain, as if they deliberately put on an air of solemnity or seriousness, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion, in order to gain a certain kind of reputation, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, as if they try to show how wise they are. Gravity, profound conceit, profound seriousness, as who should say, I am Sir Oracle, as if they're trying to tell. Now, an oracle, now this is also an allusion. In ancient Greece, an oracle was a person who conveyed messages from gods. So as if that person was trying to tell that I am myself who speaks the authority of an oracle. So as if the face was that way. So there are certain kind of people who just loves being so serious. And when I open my lips, let no dog bark. So as if when I open my lips while I speak, there should be complete silence. I should be that serious. Oh, my Antonio, I do know of these. I know this kind of people, that therefore only a reputed wise. These people are just considered to be wise, just because they're silent. For saying nothing, as they're silent, they just remain quiet. When I am very sure, if they should speak, would almost damn those ears. So I know if they would speak at all, then curse those ears who would have heard them. So if they would speak, the listeners would call them fools, because they would speak of no sense. They just remain silent and make a sad face, which just speaks of their wisdom, which they are actually not. And so be damned. Now the Bible says, whosoever shall say to his brother, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. So he uses the word cursed or damned. This has been said in St. Matthew, chapter 5, line 22. I will tell thee more of this another time. So he says, I will continue with this conversation another time. But fish not with its melancholy baits. So, do not lure any worm or any, this is of course a metaphor. So do not lure any worm or a person who is not as wise as you are with such baits of being serious. So do not be that melancholic just to have attention of such fools. Of worms here means fools. For this fool grudge in this opinion. For the small worthless fishes that is easy to catch will always be attracted by your seriousness. Come, good Lorenzo, fare ye well a while. I'll end my exhortation after dinner. That means I will end my good advice after dinner. Well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of these same dumb wise man, for Gratien never lets me speak. So Lorenzo says, I would rather be quiet, because Gratien, who has already projected himself, who always speaks over the top, has never let me be silent. Oh well, keep me company but 2 years more. Thou shalt not know the sound of thy own tongue. So if you just stay with me for 2 more years, you will forget your own tongue. Farewell, I will grow a talker for this cure. So for this advice, fare you well. Gratien, thanks and faith, for silence is only commendable. For silence is only praiseworthy. In a neat's tongue tried, that is, in an ox's tongue tried. extant Crescenio and Lorenzo. Now comes almost the main part of this scene, which has much to do in the further scenes, which is quite impactful in this. Is that anything now? So is it anything that you want to share with me? Crescenio speaks an infinite deal of nothing, more than any man in all Venice. His reasons are as 2 grains of wheat hid in 2 bushels of chaff. Now this is of course a metaphor. He says as if his words are like chaff, a husk of grain which are worthless, and you have to search for them in 2 bushels. Like it's so worthless that you have to search for them. And bushel is a unit of measurement. You shall seek all day or you find them. You have to search for a whole day to understand what he has spoken, whether it was at all worthy to listen to. Thus, and when you have them, they are not worth the search. So when you have found them, they are not worthy of the search. Well, tell me now, what lady is the same to whom you sow a secret pilgrimage? So which lady is she to whom you have promised to visit secretly, that you today promised to tell me of, that you wanted to tell me of? It's not unknown to you, Antonio. Now, he tells him of his nature very honestly. But you have to understand, if Bassanio's friendship has to be equated with Antonio's, of course the former's come much greater and much selfless. He almost keeps his life at stake to help his friend, whereas his friend quits Antonio in terms of material pursuits. It's not unknown to you, Antonio, how much I have disabled mine estate. That means how much I have squandered my means by something showing a more swelling pot. That means I have just led a grand lifestyle than my faint means would grant continuance, than my means or my modest means would permit me to. Nor do I now make moan to be abridged. So, I have squandered my wealth by living far more extravagantly than my modest means would allow me. So I do not complain to be cartled right now from such a noble rate, from such an extravagant living. But my chief care is to come fairly off from the great depths. But my concern is my depths, which I need to be cleared off from. Wherein my time, something too prodigal had left me gant. Something so enormous had left me pledged to you, Antonio. So he says, he confesses that Antonio has been a help to him all the more, all the time. I owe the most in money and in love. To whom? To you. And from your love, I have a warranty, I have an assurance to unburden all my plots and purposes, to confide in you all my plans. How to get clear of all the debts I owe. Now he tells of his plan. I pray you, good Bassanio, let me know it, and if it stand as you yourself still do. So you please tell me about your plans. And if your plans seem to be as honorable as you are, then of course I'm ready to help you. Within the eye of my honor, be assured, my purse, that means with my wealth, my person, I as your friend, and my extremest means, I can go at any level to help you. Lie all unlocked to your occasions. So I lie unlocked, open to all your purposes. So these 2 lines talk so much about Antonio's friendship for Bassanio. In my school days, now he talks about a metaphor that he tries to imply to regain his wealth. What he says? In my school days, when I had lost one shaft, that means when I had lost one arrow, what I ought to do? I shot his fellow of the same flight. I would shoot a similar arrow. Why? The same way with more advised watch, and I would be careful enough of its design. Such identical arrows, when shot in a certain direction under the same condition, would land at the same place. So suppose you throw an arrow and throw another and it comes to the same place. To find the other fourth, and this is how I would find the other arrow, being diligent. So I would send this second arrow to find the first. And by adventuring both, I oft found both. And that is how I found both the former and the next one. I urge this childhood proof, because what follows is pure innocence. So, I have taken this example from my childhood, which might seem mere foolish to you. Bassanio even jests at his own expense to cover up the embarrassment that he feels in asking a fresh favor from Antonio, because he has already taken much favor from Antonio. So he's quite embarrassed at his own jest. I owe you much, and like a willful youth. So I owe you already much, just like another willful youth. That which I owe is lost. So whatever I've owed you is completely lost. But if you please to shoot another arrow that's self-will, but if you just please to bear me another chance, or to help me another more time, but if you please to shoot another arrow that's self-way, which you did shoot the first, so at first you never had inclined not to help me. I do not doubt as I will watch the aim. I'm careful that I would watch my aim very, very carefully now. So he says, but if you lend me some money again, I will use it carefully, and either repay all the money I owe you, or repay the amount you lent me now, so that I stand in debt for what I already owe you. I do not doubt as I will watch the aim, or to find both, or bring you latter hazard back again, and thankfully rest debtor for the first. So I owe you a lot, and like a rash young man I've lost it all. But if you are ready to help me once more, or to lend me money for once more, I will use it carefully, and either repay all the money I owe you, or repay the amount you lent me now. You know me well, and herein spend but time. So you're just spending your time to say these things. So as if Antonio gives himself for granted to Bassanio. And out of doubt, you do me now more wrong in making questions of my uttermost. So you do me wrong by questioning my integrity, my love for you. That if you had made waste of all I have, that then do but say to me what I should do. Instead of just telling me how much money you've wasted, or you've owed me, or squandered all that you've had, just tell me what according to you can be done right away. And I'm pressed unto it, therefore speak. So I'll be ready to help you once more. So please be fearless to speak. Now Bassanio tells, in Belmont is a lady richly left. So in Belmont is a lady who has inherited great wealth from her father. And she is fair. She is beautiful and fairer than that word. So of course, hyperbolic way of describing a lady. So she is fairer than the word fair. And then he says of wondrous virtues. So she is just not fair in her physical looks, but she also has virtues. She is of course more virtuous. Sometimes from her eyes I did receive fair speechless messages. So from Portia's eyes I have understood that she has inclined some kind of likeness for me, unspoken likeness. Her name is Portia, nothing undervalued to Cato's daughter. Now Cato's daughter and Brutus's wife was also named Portia, so this is of course an allusion. Portia is compared here to Portia, daughter of the Roman statesman Cato and wife of Brutus, the Roman general and conspirator in the assassination of Julius Caesar. She was known to be beautiful and courageous, quite like Bassanio's Portia. Nor is the wide world ignorant of her worth. So throughout the world, her worth is well known. So that's why, for the four winds blow in from every coast. That means suitors come from four directions. Men who wants to seek her hand in marriage hang on her temples like a golden fleece. Now this is of course an allusion. According to Greek legend, Jason and his companions called the Argonauts set out on a dangerous voyage in search of the elusive fleece of the golden ram as the prize for the throne of Icolux, to which was the rightful heir. Jason found the fleece in Colchos, in a grove guarded by a dragon. Before Jason, many had tried to take the fleece and failed. So Portia seems to be compared to that fleece, whom, of course, Bassanio wants to have for himself. So that is why he says, and many Jasons come in quest of her. So they have come in search for her. Oh my Antonio, had I but the means to hold a rival place with one of them. So I wish I had at least the chance to compete one of the Jasons. I have a mind presage me such thrifts. So I have a mind which tells me that I should go for such undertaking, that I should questionless be fortunate. So if I just undertake this mission, then of course my mind tells me that I would be fortunate enough. So that is what my mind tells me. Thou knowest, now Antonio tells of his present condition, and which also talks about his state later in the act. Thou knowest that all my fortunes are at sea. So you know that my fortunes or my money or wealth, ships are at sea. Neither have I money nor commodity. So I have neither money nor security to help you. To raise a present sum, to raise the money that you need for your adventure. Therefore, go forth. Therefore, I ask you that you go forth and try what my credit can in Venice do. So see how much you can borrow in Venice, presenting me as your security. That shall be racked even to the uttermost, that can be strained even to the end, so I can go till the end to furnish thee to Belmont, so that you can go by your enterprise in Belmont to fair Portia. Go presently inquire, and so will I. So you please go and inquire what you can do. After I tell you to keep my name as a credit, and I will also do and see what I can do. where money is, and I no question made, to have it of my trust or for my sake. So I do not question, I do not have any doubt that you will be able to borrow money, either formally on my credit or for the friendship that people bear towards me. So the scene ends here. So it keeps us lingering onto the fact that what happens in the next scene, right? So it keeps us lingering as to what will happen later. And of course, you need to remember that there are several things that is to be dealt in this scene that we have done. First, which is quite important is, of course, Antonio's love for his friend, which is so unconditional, equated with Bassanio's love, which is by far not just the selfless love. Of course, then we have this mystery as to what makes Antonio so sad, when it is neither business nor love. So what is it? That mystery keeps us going in the later scenes. So these two are very quite important themes. And of course, we have the introduction of Portia, who seems to be virtuous, who seems to have ready wit, which wit will be put much in use in the later scenes. And of course, she is the one who turns out to be the man in the play, besides Shylock the Jew. So that's how we end the first scene. Please put your comments, your feedbacks as to how did you like today's undertaking on the first scene. And of course, put down your doubts and whatever you have to say. In the meantime, as I say, I love literature and stay happy, stay blessed. Thank you so much.